Good morning, students. This is a video for class 8th science where I'm going to talk about chapter 8, that is cell, structure and function. In this video, we are going to focus on plant cell and animal cell. So let's just begin with it. Very first thing is cell. What is a cell? A cell can be defined as the structural and functional unit of living being. That means a cell is the smallest living unit of our body which provides us our structure as well as it carry out all the metabolic activities inside our body. For example, energy formation. Where does the energy forms in our body? It is inside each and every cell. So the cells are responsible for energy formation and that's how our body works. Fine. So a cell which provides you your structure as well as it carry out all the metabolic activities. Every living organism has to have at least a single cell. If an organism does not have a cell, that means that organism is not living. For example, virus. Virus, when it is outside the host body, it is not considered as living creature. Why? Because it does not have a cell. So that is the meaning of cell. Now there are two types of cells basically. One is called prokaryotic cell, another is called eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cells are primitive cells where genetic material DNA is not bounded by a nuclear membrane. So a true nucleus is absent. For example, in case of bacteria. And eukaryotic cells are those cells where genetic materials are bounded by nuclear membrane. Fine. So that is called eukaryotic cell. For example, plant cell, animal cells, fungal cells, and protozoan cells. Okay, so that is eukaryotic cell, and we are going to talk about eukaryotic cells only, plant cells and animal cell. So when we talk about eukaryotic cell, for simplification, we can classify the cells into three parts. First is cell wall and cell membrane. Second is nucleus. And third is cytoplasm and cell organelles. This is a diagrammatic representation of plant cell and its components. So you can see the boundary is basically there in plant cell. It consists of a nucleus, it consists of mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, vacuole, lysosome, and organelles like that. So a cell consists of all these various components. Same is the case with animal cell. You see, this is a diagrammatic representation of animal cell where the animal cell also consists of various organelles and various parts in it. Fine, so let's just talk about in detail what are these parts. The very first part we talk about is cell wall and cell membrane. So what is the cell wall? Cell wall is generally present in plant cell. Now, other than plant cells, cell wall is also present in fungal cell as well as in bacterial cell. Okay, but here we are talking about plant cell. So cell wall, as you can see in the diagram, it is the outermost rigid layer. So it is not a living layer, it is a non-living layer. Over the period of time it becomes non-living. Fine, so it's a rigid layer, it's a non-living layer, it is the outermost protective layer present in plant cell. In plants, it is made up of a kind of a complex carbohydrate which is called cellulose. So, cell wall is made up of cellulose in plant cell. Now, what does the cell wall do for plant? So cell wall, it provides structure to the cell. It maintains the structure of plant cell and it provides protection to the plant cell from bursting because the plant cell, they consist of a lot of water in it, and because of that they become turgid and it may happen that they will burst. But who protects them from bursting? It is the cell wall which protects plant cells from bursting. Next is cell membrane. Now, pay attention to the diagrammatic representation of plant cell and animal cell, and you will notice that cell membrane, it is the outermost and the only layer present in animal cell, whereas in case of plant cell, it is present inner to the cell wall. So, cell membrane, which is also called plasma membrane, is a living membrane, and in animal cell, it is the only layer present, but in plant cell, it is present inner to the cell wall. Fine. Now, what does this cell membrane do? The cell membrane is basically a semi-permeable membrane. That means it is half permeable. What does that mean? That means it allows some of the molecule to enter into the cell and leave the cell. Okay, but it does not allow all the molecules to enter or go outside of the cell. So it's semi-permeable. It allows only certain molecule based on their size, based on their nature. It allows only certain molecules to cross the plasma membrane for the exchange of substances. So that is cell membrane, and cell membrane is present in all the cell, be it a prokaryotic cell or a eukaryotic cell. It is present in all the cells. So that was about cell wall and cell membrane. Now the next very important organelle that we have is the nucleus. Pay attention to the structure of nucleus here. How does it look like? Somewhat spherical or oval sort of. And if you notice, inside the nucleus, it consists of a spherical structure called nucleolus. Then it has certain thread-like structures which are called chromatin, and it is bounded by nuclear membrane, and the nuclear membrane consists of certain pores which are called nuclear pores. So these all structures are present in nucleus. So the nucleus is the largest organelle, we can say, present in the cell, and it is bounded by nuclear membrane. And the nuclear membrane are generally double membrane, which consists of nuclear pore for the exchange of substances. And the nuclear membrane, it makes the boundary of a nucleus and separates it from the cytoplasm and cell organelles. Next thing is nucleoplasm. It is the fluid matrix which is present inside the nucleus. And it is the nucleoplasm which consists of all the dissolved substances. You talk about DNA, RNA, protein, or ribosomes. These all materials are present inside the nucleoplasm. And the metabolic activities where nucleus is involved, it's all done inside the nucleoplasm. Next thing is nucleolus. As I have shown you, that in the center it is the spherical part which is present inside the nucleus, and in this part basically ribosome formation take place. Next thing is about chromosomes. See, our cells or the nucleus consists of DNA, which is our genetic material, deoxyribonucleic acid. So DNA is present. This DNA, it becomes compact and it forms chromatin, and the chromatin, it forms chromosome. Now, in our chromosome, we consist of genes, or you can say in our DNA, genes are present. What are these genes? Genes are those part of DNA which contains our hereditary information. Hereditary information means the information which are being passed to you by your parents. For example, what kind of eye color you will have, that information is present in gene. What kind of hair color you will have, that information is present in the genes. What would be your height, whether you'll be a tall person or you will be somewhat short in height, so that is all controlled by genes. They have all this information. So genes are called unit of inheritance. It is being passed from one generation to another generation, from the parents to the offspring, and it contains all your genetic information. Fine. So this is all about structure of the nucleus. Now what does this nucleus do? As I told you, that nucleus has chromosomes, and the chromosomes have genes, and the genes are unit of inheritance. It regulates your hereditary information. That means nucleus is responsible for having our genetic information, and it controls our hereditary character. And nucleus is also called control center of the cell or brain of the cell. Why? Because it controls the growth and maintenance and regulation of the cell. So nucleus controls the cell. Uh, it carry out maintenance of the cell. So all the work of the cell is actually dependent on nucleus. So it's the master of the cell, you can say. Fine. So that's about functions of the nucleus. Let's move ahead. Next part that we have is cytoplasm and cell organelle. So what is the cytoplasm? A cytoplasm is a jelly-like matrix which is present in the cell. Now we had the cell wall and cell membrane. After that we had nucleus. Now after nucleus, whatever place was left, it was filled by a jelly-like matrix or jelly-like material that is called cytoplasm. And the cytoplasm consists of various organelles, cell organelles. And it is the cell organelles which carry out all the metabolic activities for the cell. The nucleus, in case of plant cell, it is present towards the periphery, towards the boundary, whereas in case of animal cell, it is present in the center. So based on the position of nucleus, the cytoplasm will fill up in the cell. Did you understand? Next thing, let's talk about various cell organelles now. So the very first cell organelle that we have is endoplasmic reticulum. Now you can see the location of endoplasmic reticulum and how it looks like. Endoplasmic reticulum is a membranous organelle, just like a folded ribbon. It is present, and it is present around the nucleus. Endoplasmic reticulum, in short, you can also call it ER, and ER is present around the nucleus, and it is present in both plant cell as well as animal cell. Fine. An endoplasmic reticulum, it is basically of two types. One is called rough endoplasmic reticulum, another is called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum has ribosomes attached on its surface, which here you can see in blue color. So that is rough endoplasmic reticulum, and smooth endoplasmic reticulum, which is appearing here in green color, where no ribosomes are attached on the surface. And endoplasmic reticulum is basically related to protein formation and lipid formation, oil formation inside the cell. This is our first organelle. The next organelle is Golgi bodies. So Golgi bodies, you see how it looks like. It is made up of certain uh, spherical structures, spherical vesicles. So when these vesicles fuse together, they form Golgi bodies. And Golgi bodies are also present in both plant cell as well as in animal cell. And Golgi bodies are responsible for packaging of the substances within the cell, and they also transport it wherever required. Okay, so this packaging and transportation are done by Golgi bodies. So just like packers and movers, how they pack the materials which are there in at your house and then they transport it. So that particular function inside the cell is actually done by Golgi bodies. The next organelle that we have is ribosomes. Now you see ribosomes, as I told you that ribosomes are attached in endoplasmic reticulum. You can see how the ribosomes are attached in rough endoplasmic reticulum, and this particular organelle is responsible for protein synthesis. So it is the part of machinery which forms proteins for our body. So ribosomes are very important for proteins. And I must tell you one thing here, that ribosomes is the organelle which is present in prokaryote cells as well. Okay, so ribosomes are present in all type of cell, whether it is prokaryotes, whether it is plant, whether it is animals. Organelles, membrane bound organelles, other organelles are absent in prokaryotic cell, but ribosomes is the organelle which is present in prokaryotes as well. Next organelle, and a very important organelle, is called mitochondria. So you can see how it looks like. It is somewhat sausage shaped, but there are various types of or various shapes of mitochondria are present in different types of organisms. So mitochondria is related to energy formation. So inside the cell, the organelle which is responsible for energy synthesis is mitochondria. So mitochondria forms energy, and that is why it is called powerhouse of the cell. And the mitochondria, they synthesize energy in the form of a chemical compound called adenosine triphosphate, abbreviated as ATP. So this ATP is called energy currency of the cell. So that's about mitochondria. The next organelle and that we have is plastids. So plastids are generally present in plants. It is absent in animal cells. Now, one of a type of plastid is called chloroplast. Why it is called chloroplast? Because it consists of green colored pigment which is called chlorophyll. So in chloroplast, chlorophyll is present, and this chlorophyll is the pigment which traps the sunlight and makes it available for the plant so that they can carry out photosynthesis. So plastid is the organelle which provides different colored pigments. Okay, you see color of the flower, it is given by plastids. Okay, color in the fruit given by the plastid. And one of a type of plastid is chloroplast, which is responsible for photosynthesis, and hence chloroplast is called kitchen of the cell, because here the photosynthesis will take place and they will prepare their own food, hence called kitchen of the cell. The next major organelle is called vacuole. Vacuoles, larger vacuoles, are generally present in plants. Okay, and in case of plants, the vacuoles are present in the center and they are bigger. And because a central large vacuole is present in plant cell, that is the reason why nucleus in plant cell, they are shifted towards the boundary. So it is all because of vacuole. And in plant cell, the vacuole, they store a lot of water, they store food product, they store even waste product. So that is a vacuole which is present in plant cell. When we talk about animal cell, the in animal cell either the vacuoles are very tiny, very small, or they are absent. So these are certain major organelles, cell organelles, which perform different activities inside the cell. So now you have seen various organelles. You have seen cell wall, cell membrane, and the nucleus of plant cell and animal cell. I want you to go back to the diagrammatic representation, and from there you find it out differences between plant cell and animal cell. So that's all for this video. Thank you, everybody.